Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. We're here with Logan Effling and Fabrizio Aiello.
How's it going?
Hey,
How you doing, guys? Thanks for coming. Logan messaged me and said let's do like a silly stream where we'll talk about Bigfoot video and stuff. I said, all right, yeah, sure, why not? I thought it would be fun to do. Logan wanted to host this on his own channel, but you ran into some technical difficulties.
yeah, me not realizing how YouTube works.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta wait
remember.
24 hours before your first stream.
Yeah, I did I had to delete it, but I hit record, and then I recorded myself going, "What's going on?" Just the camera in my face, and and then I put it live 24 hours later. So it was really fun. I was just saying before that we started, I don't know what I'm doing. and Fabrizio just for whatever reason wanted to, I guess, just wanted to come out and hang out. I enjoy Fabrizio's. Whenever you come on my channel, I enjoy you. Great comic. Oh, let's talk about your comics.
There we go. You can go first, Fabrizio.
Oh, sure. So, Horace H. Hoover, #1, is available via atronacomics.com. Issue 2 is on demand. Oh, there it is. I should have one near me.
I would have did that too.
Issue 3 is finished, and that'll be on the fall campaign, should be. Things are cooking.
When's 2 coming out?
I think it went to the printers, and Pete got word that it should be shipping soon. I don't know the specifics, but so that should be coming out soon.
Great. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I got a lot of other ancillary stuff kind of coming out in the meantime, so it's not, just crickets for 6 months. So
Cool. And Logan, tell us what you got going on.
We got Firewatch, issue #1. We got 20 days left on the campaign, so we're approaching crunch time.
All right, where is the campaign? Where is it?
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo. Okay,
Yeah,
Indiegogo.
we're 40% funded right now.
Nice. I backed
You did.
Alterna.
You're a
I'll put
legend.
links to everything in the description, guys. Just send me a reminder because for whatever reason I'm getting a senile. Did anybody else just see something fly across? We were just talking before we started. I think there's ghosts in my basement. I never noticed it before because the lights have always been on. I'm an electrician and I put way too many lights in here, so now the lights are off. I just got this webcam light and I'm seeing ghosts. So,
I saw something too. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I was just saying, I got this house cheap because the old timer who lived here died in the basement. Nobody wanted it, and I guess I got to entertain him, otherwise he'll haunt me. Which is we're going to talk about cryptids and scary stuff tonight. So here we go. Not even Halloween.
Exactly.
He'll play board games, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Come on over. You can see I got my board games right behind me.
Yeah.
Speaking
Is there a
behind you-
Bigfoot themed board game?
Yes. There's a game called Unmatched. I got these little resin minis. I don't have the game. It's packed away, but I'll show you that. This is a resin mini. Unmatched is it's a player versus player, one person versus one person, and you play like legendary figures from history or mythological figures. So, like for instance, you could be King Arthur versus Alice from Alice in Wonderland, or you could be Bigfoot versus Robin Hood, or Sinbad the Sailor versus the Invisible Man and Frankenstein and Dracula. So it's a battle, a 2-player battle.
It's cool.
That's Bigfoot, but Bigfoot, yeah, man, he's got the heaviest punch in all the game. And what's great is you can play a card, you can just disappear, and then you can play another card. He shows up.
That's awesome.
So he could hit you, disappear, and it's frustrating. It's
the
That's
fourth
hilarious.
dimensional Bigfoot.
Yeah, I really like it. Other than that, I can't think of any other games with Bigfoot. So I'm looking at you. You got some skulls and
Yeah. I mean, I have my skeleton, some anatomy stuff, and then some of my resin stuff over there.
Please tell me that's for art reference. That you're not like a trophy serial killer guy or anything.
I really did want to buy a human skeleton, but they're really expensive. But this guy, he worked out okay, I guess.
That's cool. You 3D printed that skull?
No, I bought that a long time ago. Yeah.
Cool.
I've tons of anatomy stuff. It's actually more useful than you would imagine.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm looking at yours. You got the spinner rack back there. I remember seeing that, Logan. Yeah.
I've added some things to the wall.
You could kind of see my spinner rack right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I'm afraid to touch the camera. Yeah, I got all my geeky like that's. There was this company called DC. It wasn't DC Directs, but they did all DC props. It was really cool because and Marvel props. So the Wonder Woman tiara, the Nick Fury gun, the two Captain America shields. They were very expensive, but they came and went in like a 3-year period. I really liked them. All right, I'm babbling. That is my that's my strength is babbling. So anybody check to see if we're actually live? I'm just gonna before we start.
I got the thing in the corner. Pretty sure we're live.
So,
Yeah, we're live.
all right. Oh, I promised a story. So Fabrizio commented on one of my things that we were talking about punk rock. Here's the Germs is Fantastic Four. It's a shirt that I absolutely love. I'm a punk rocker from I'm in my 50s, so I was just under the original punks. Like my friend Adam was 5 years older than me, and I always wished I was a little bit older. He saw a lot of the bands that came and went, and there was G.G. Allen, and G.G. Allen was disgusting. There's no other way to describe G.G. Allen, and he died in 1993. He wanted to die on stage. He was going to shoot up a bunch of drugs, go on stage and sing and die. Because, matter of fact, Darby Crash from the Germs almost died on stage. He did a bunch of drugs and came out and sang, and then went behind and died behind the stage. So that was like, how can I top Darby Crash? Well, dying on. But my friend John, he used to say, like, I'm never going to go see G.G. Allen, because he was always afraid, like, yes, he's going to die on stage, but he's going to take everybody out with him. So he was terrified of G.G. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of scared of that too. So that's the there's a documentary called Hated the Nation. I don't recommend any human being watch this movie, okay? But I saw it in the theaters. So anyway, cut to I moved across country in 90, right in 93. So this must be 90 or so. And me and my friends, we were going to downtown Manhattan all the time. I'm going to sound awfully pretentious, but I was full on pretentious at this point, so it worked. So here I am going, and I forget if I was in Hogs and Heifers or downtown Beirut, but there were two bars that were close to each other. We used to go there all the time. When one got too full, we would go to the other one and vice versa. And there was a pinball machine, and I'm playing pinball. And this arm goes around my shoulder, and I'm concentrated on the pinball machine, but that's like a faux pas. You don't touch anybody when they're playing pinball. Usually you just put a quarter on the machine and say, I'm next. So I look over, it's G.G. Allen, and there's Merle, his brother, over there, and I don't recognize everybody else. And G.G. Allen is just going, you winning? And now I'm like, am I going to get a bottle to the face? Am I going to get AIDS just for touching this?
I was just going to say, is there Purell around there?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh my God. So like, the ball drops there. He's like, ah. So he goes, all right, next ball. He goes, if you win, and I'm thinking, how do you win in pinball? You just get a good score, you know what I mean? But who knows? And he goes, if you win, and he grabs the waitress and pulls her over uncomfortably. And he goes, if you're a win, she's going to F you. And I'm like, this situation is, my stomach hurts. How do I get out of here gracefully? So he's just watching. He's now fighting with the girl. There's chaos going on. Merle gets up, and I just zoop out the door. And I didn't look back. I just heard whatever screaming and yelling behind me. I don't know what happened. And I look at that as my near escape. I went next door to where my friends were, and I was like, let's get out of here, because I didn't know if he was going to remember me or get thrown out, come next door. That was my brush with G.G. Allen.
That is wild. Yeah, I want to make it clear, I'm not a fan of his.
I don't think anybody should be.
Yeah.
I'm died with G.G. Allen.
But I know who he is. Yeah, that's crazy.
Blink 182 and Green Day. You guys aren't punk. Punk died with G.G. Allen. Punk was anti-establishment. It was insanity. It was like subverting expectations in the real sense of the word. It's you can't top that. You can't top that. My other G.G. Allen story was my friend John. Now he's in San Diego, and he was working at a pizzeria with some girl, and he was like, hey, you want to go see this band tonight? And he goes, I don't know what I was thinking. He goes, I full on invited her to go see Gigi Allen. He goes, what was I thinking? You know, so he picks this girl up. They drive down to the club, and he says the first thing they noticed that it was a beautiful club that shouldn't have punk rock bands. He said there was this like beautiful glass mirror that went behind the bar, like in a cowboy movie. You know what I mean? Like just a beautiful, you know, and it's like a saloon, you know. And Gigi Allen comes on stage naked, covered in his own filth, and he's like screaming, somebody give me a beer, somebody give me a beer. And somebody throws a beer, he catches it, takes a swig, and then throws it, smashes this big gigantic mirror. The bouncers start fighting with him, they're rolling around. The show's canceled. He said that was like 3 minutes.
Man.
Needless to say, he never saw that girl again.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, I wasn't into punk not really. My friends were really into punk. I was into hardcore later on, but which is related, but not. Yeah. It's a totally different. It's a different vibe.
What hardcore bands were you into?
I really liked like the New York stuff. So like Sick of It All, Agnostic Front. Later on, sort of like Orange 9mm, you know, Earth Crisis, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway.
The Crumbsuckers, do you ever listen to them?
I don't know them.
They grew up in my neighborhood. I used to go and watch them practice. You know. I used to go to the CBGB's hardcore matinee. You know, shave my head. You know, stage dive and all that stuff. And I made up my rule was once you hit 200 pounds, you're no longer allowed to stage dive. I remember jumping and the crowd just parted like I was Moses. Right flat on the ground, and I was like, I'm done. I'll just be the guy in the back with the beer, just doing this from now on.
New York at that time had to be something special.
It was fun. It was fun. My friend John, God bless him, like as much as I'm into comics and board games, he's still into punk. He's, you know, he lives a couple blocks away from me, and every night he's posting on Instagram shows that he's going to. You know, they just had a big. Was it Sick of It All or Youth of Today reunion in Thompson Square Park? And he's there front and center. Somebody took a picture and I'm like, that's my friend John, right? 50-year-old guy, gray hair, still doing, you know. So,
yeah.
You know, matter of fact, one of my earliest videos is me showing off my record collection. I thought people would be interested in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Got no views. So there you go. I'm babbling. It's 12 minutes. I talked a lot. What do you guys want to say?
To play off that, as for things covered in filth, I planned on doing an opening of this, so we may as well just open this on stream.
Okay. So, I'm gonna hit the end broad. I'll keep my finger on the end broadcast button just in case.
I'll be dialing 9-1.
There we go. So there was a show called Fish Tank recently. You know the show Big Brother?
Yeah.
It was like that, but totally uncensored and actually live 24/7.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely keep my finger hovering over the end broadcast.
Right. Yeah. Here's our sweet crumpled up certificate of authenticity because it was shipped in a bag. But this is the shirt of the champion that won. You can smell it. You can smell the victory. And it's supposedly signed. I don't know if it actually is or not. It doesn't look very signed. But that's kind of a disappointing reveal. So now it just looks like a blue T-shirt, which is what it is.
What did you do? You bought that on eBay or something?
Yeah, okay. From the producers of the show. And they said they were going to sign it, and they clearly lied. No. But it is covered in the filth of the house. So it's kind of funny still.
My friend John, I was just talking about the one who's still into punk. He pointed out that there's a website. This guy just hand makes these shirts, and he only makes like 100 or so, and once he's done, they're gone. So I had to get, you know, the Germs and the Fantastic Four.
That's pretty cool.
Shirt was made for me.
And there's very few like comic music crossovers. I think it was Turmoil, old hardcore band. They used Marv from Sin City on their shirt, and I'm like, right. And this was a long time ago, before the movie, before it really.
That again.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about that again. Well, they're not hardcore or punk, but Monster Mag did. You know, they reference Jack Kirby a few times, and you know, they're goofy band. They're another band that I like. I saw them opening up for the Butthole Surfers. They performed one 45-minute song and then got off the stage.
That's awesome.
They were good. They were good. Yeah. I remember I saw the Butthole Surfers, and it was just like scary. You know, like I don't know, like we may or may not have been doing things that we shouldn't have been doing, and then sitting in the audience, and then the music could just like scare you. You know, it was like nobody was like doing it. Everybody was like in a trance. Like I remember seeing, like, I used to be into the Doors a lot back in junior high school, and people would describe seeing the Doors as like a terrifying psychedelic experience. You know, and you know you hear them perform live a few times, and I'm like, okay, I you know, so I've never seen the Doors, but I compare that. The Butthole Surfers, it was a terrifying psychedelic.
I'm sure Gibby would appreciate that comparison.
Yeah. Like, I'll flatter myself saying he's watching this or listening to this. Yeah. All right. So Logan asked me to host this video. He wanted to look at some Bigfoot videos.
We're gonna do some hardcore investigations. We're gonna get to the bottom of it.
So let's check this out. See what's gonna happen. You ready for me to put up the video?
Go for it.
Okay, so here we go. I guess you're in control of that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 15, Independence Day sighting. This footage was apparently filmed on Independence Day. It shows a Bigfoot walking into frame, looking at the camera, and then picking up a baby before running off into the distance.
Oh, I'm a little disappointed. I thought he was going to have a tricorn hat on since it was Independence Day.
It'd be more believable, right?
Yeah, Bigfoot could be patriotic.
I don't see why it can't be.
Right. Grab a musket.
The Bigfoot seems to be nervously looking at the person holding the camera, therefore saving its baby and running away. Movement can also be seen from the baby as it hugs and pushes away from the adult. Some people have pointed out that they could see facial movement from the adult Bigfoot as well. Others say that CGI has been used in the video, but this is one of the few videos deemed real by the people who have made in-depth analysis videos on the footage.
Hey, Sci Freak, thank you for coming.
Hello.
Does everything look good? Everything sound good, Sci Freak? You remember this video? Let me ask you: does anybody believe in Bigfoot?
Number 14.
I don't believe in Bigfoot, but I'm open to the possibility that some things exist that we don't. Yeah, we don't know.
Let me put it this way: I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in much to my wife's chagrin, but I want to believe in things. I want there to be an afterlife where I can hang out with my parents again. I want there to be space aliens. I want there to be Bigfoot, but I don't believe anything. It's a personality flaw. Like you can tell me I just had pizza for dinner. I don't believe you. I don't believe until I see proof. So that's just my personality. But I love the idea of Bigfoot. I want there to be gigantic sea creatures. I want there to be space aliens.
Number 13,
well, I think there's
albino
definitely
Bigfoot.
gigantic sea
homeowner
creatures.
captured this footage.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like things that we haven't seen yet.
Like
Like
wooded
Kraken
property.
or
This homeowner and others in this
Oh,
town
maybe
have
there is a
previously
maybe
heard
Krakens
strange
were just big
noises and
sea
disturbances for the
squids that,
last 2 weeks or so.
Right, giant
prior
squids,
to this
yeah.
being
What about
captured
you,
on
Sci
film.
Freak?
The town was
Do you
confirmed
believe
as
in
Carbondale,
Bigfoot?
Pennsylvania. In the
Oh,
video,
Pennsylvania. This is
someone
Pennsylvania.
around in a
Yeah,
wooded area in a
there's
stressed
Fabrizio in the
manner.
background. I was joking. RJ from the Fourth Age was going to come, and he lives out in the wild in an island someplace. And, ooh,
Then
Oh.
he hears a loud noise near him.
It's like
He
an
captures on
albino
the
one.
camera what appears to be an albino Bigfoot. The
Wow.
audio cuts off and the clip ends
Well,
abruptly soon
that has to be a
after.
Yeti then. I was joking to RJ that he lives next door to Bigfoot. So maybe that's why he couldn't come tonight. It's too close for home.
I don't know if this is related, but did you hear the story of this albino bear that got mistaken for a polar bear, so they transported it to like the north? There's a whole video on it. That poor bear is like, I'm just albino, man. I'm not a polar bear.
That's
That's
unfortunate.
so sad. Oh, okay. There's Bigfoot.
There he is.
Yeah, I thought he was a tree.
They were able to zoom in to capture the footage of a
So
hairy
where
ape-like
is he?
creature.
Where are these
The creature can be
videos
seen
taken
walking
from? Like
around
what
on
part of the
hill
country?
and at some point swing around its arms.
Well, the last one
Was
said
it a Sasquatch,
Pennsylvania. I
a
don't
man,
know
or
about this
something
one.
else?
It's mountainous.
Number 11, Provo
Appalachia?
Canyon
I don't
Bigfoot
know.
encounter.
Provo,
When the
that's
YouTuber
Utah,
going
right?
by the name of Beard Card went camping with his
I think
friends
so.
in Provo Canyon. They allegedly saw Bigfoot.
I would love that to be Bigfoot. My friend Chris lives in Florida, and he joined the Bigfoot hunting society. I'm like, get the fuck out of Florida, right?
Swamp apes.
According to the
Yeah,
description
the-
of the
yeah,
video,
that's what he
they
says,
had
the
seen
skunk
some
ape
deer
or the
up on a
swamp
hill
ape.
that they
Skunk
wanted
ape,
to get a
that's what it
closer
is,
look
yeah.
at, but that's when they saw what they
It
thought
would
was
make
a
life
bear
fun,
until
more
they
fun
saw it.
if that
In the
stuff was
clip,
real
they
for
went
sure.
straight to the
Oh,
car,
yeah.
leaving their tent and everything behind.
let's just
When
say,
talking to
for the
local
sake of
station
argument,
Fox
that
13 News, they said that they had
they
no
did
idea what
find
the
a
creature
Bigfoot
was.
and they're intelligent. Like they have their own language. Like, would that freak you out? Like,
up there right now? I guess it's deer
do you think humanity can handle that?
No.
You don't think so? I think we're at the point now where we're just like, yeah, sure, why not? You know.
Yeah. I mean, I would accept that there's some, branch of some gorilla or human that, that 100,000 years ago turned into something a little different, and we just never saw it. There's 5 million acres in the Amazon that's never been just, looked at, et cetera, et cetera. So I
Right.
think people are open to it, but I don't know, with AI and all the faked video
Yeah,
footage.
I don't believe any footage I see of anything.
Yeah.
But are there any apes that actually live in the Amazon? Or are they all in Asia?
I have no idea. I just meant that there's areas of the that haven't been.
I just think that's weird that there aren't any.
There's monkeys, but I don't know if
Yeah,
there's any
there's definitely
primates.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that the biggest primate is some sort of what we would call a monkey, but I don't think it's too big. Like monkeys have tails and primates don't have tails.
Right. Yeah, there's no apes in the Amazon, just monkeys.
Yeah, I have
That's
no.
crazy. I just looked it up.
We're gonna find out my lack of knowledge of animals during
Do you
this video.
Like
Do any of these look convincing so far to you?
they all
No.
look convincing, but I don't. But I've seen District 9. Those space aliens. Look, like
That was good animation.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago, and it's still better than anything I've seen today. District 9.
It seems to be getting worse. CGI does. I don't know what that's about.
Yes, especially the Marvel movies. It's
Yeah.
season, so there's tons of hunters everywhere up there. So
I'd rather them come out another year from now and actually look good.
with all these hunters
Yeah.
all over the place. So.
None
See,
of
that
them
looks-
really believed in Bigfoot, but they still ruled out the
See,
possibility of the
that looks
creature
like.
being
Could there be a
bear.
gorilla?
Number
Could somebody
10
have
is a skunk ape or Bigfoot
Or-
from
You know how,
Yeah.
I grew up
In
in
this
Long
footage,
Island,
a
and
man
somebody
by the name
released
of
an
Matt
alligator
thought
into the
what he thought was
Massapequa
a
Lake,
skunk
and there
ape,
was a
also known as a swamp ape. Or
animal
Florida
control had to
Bigfoot,
come and get it out.
was
So you
canoeing
think somebody
around
could have gotten a
Lake
gorilla?
Lake when
It
he
got
saw
too
what
big
he
and released it in the
initially
woods.
thought was a bear.
Yeah, people
However, the
do
length
keep
of its
weird
arms
animals as
and
pets.
its
You never
gait
know.
and the large size
There's a
of the
guy in the
creature
Bronx
has led people
that,
to speculate on
he
whether
got
or not
killed
this
by his
creature
own
could possibly
python.
be a bear.
He
Also,
kept
the
it in the
fact that
bathroom,
creature
in the
walked through
bathtub,
the
and he
swamp
went in there to
ease
use the
has made
bathroom, and the
people
thing
think
killed
that the
him.
video in fact shows
And
a skunk
they
ape.
had to call animal control. There was a tiger, a python, and an alligator, and the guy. This is an apartment in the Bronx,
Wow.
so I can imagine some guy out in the woods has a gorilla that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name names, but in my hometown there was somebody that used to keep a lot of
But she said that bears
exotic animals
into the
in
swamp.
the middle
really?
of the woods. Yeah.
Sightings rarely happen. She had no idea what the creature was.
I don't know, to me, that Occam's razor, right? Whatever sounds the most is probably the answer.
Right.
The easiest explanation is probably
actually shows. According
I
to
say we got a lot of
YouTube
people here who
channel
like that kind of
Bigfoot
stuff, but it's usually like zebras and like
All
things
on
that aren't hostile.
Oh, really? There's people who have zebras out by you?
Yeah. There's like this one person that just has like this exotic farm, this exotic hobby farm. It's like weird African deer and zebras and just that kind of stuff.
Man.
Now, I heard
People
people tried to
And
domesticate
the
them, but they
Prince
can't
Edward
be
Island
domesticated.
quadrupedal
Prince
Which
Edward
things?
Island. Hey, there's RJ.
That is a weird looking Bigfoot. Oh, I see.
Oh, there we go. I thought it was Bigfoot with pants on.
Yeah.
He went to the Gap.
Yeah, big pants.
In 2005, a student named Nathan Wiley and some friends were in the forest on
Yeah,
Prince
it's
Edward
chasing
Island
them.
filming a video for school.
That's too
Wiley needed a
convenient.
clip in
Yeah,
which a
well, that
person
could
was
be a
seen
gr-
running
that
from
could
the
be a
woods.
bear.
According to the
Yeah.
filmmaker,
Well,
Yeah.
you
when the
could.
clip was moving
Have you
from
ever seen a
the
bear?
A huge ape
In
Not
real
in
life?
person,
Not
no.
that close,
outside of
no.
the forest. The creature can be seen running across.
I
the
remember
field at
my
high speed.
grandfather lived
The
up
person
in
the video is not
the
actually
Catskill
running from
Mountains
Bigfoot, but
upstate
rather
New
filming a
York.
scene.
and I would stay with him for a while during the summer. And he had me terrified. Like, don't stay out until when it gets dark. There's bears. So,
Yeah, that does look like a bear to me too.
yeah, Bigfoot. I don't know. Maybe it looked like it was loping like a bear, right?
Yeah.
An eagle cam set up to monitor an eagle family's progress by the state's Department.
Have you ever seen an eagle in real life?
Yeah, all the time.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're
They're crazy.
Going around trees and bushes on the forest floor beneath the eagle
That
nest.
is,
In the
yeah.
baby eaglets peep in the nest when the creature suddenly pops up.
I thought they were gonna show like a furry hand come into the camera.
Yeah, I started
like,
to feel bad for the eagles. I didn't want to see an eagle killed. When I first moved into this house, I lived in Queens, one of the boroughs of New York City. So the only animals you saw was, believe it or not, you'd see like falcons swooping down and getting the squirrels, but you'd see squirrels all the time. So I moved out here, and I was doing some yard work, and my wife is in the car, and she's not getting out of the car, and she's looking, but she's not scared, but she's giving me one of these. So I look up, and up in the tree, I don't know what it is. I'm not a nature guy, but it was a hawk or a falcon or something, but it was huge. It was easily 2.5 to 3 feet, but it was up in the tree, and it had a squirrel in its talon. And it was just so I, of course, being a stupid person, I'm walking out like, oh my god, this is so cool, and the thing just looked at me, and I'm like, oh my god, this is real. This is nature in my face. I'm gonna get hurt. I backed away. I was like, go ahead, Mr. Bird of Prey. I'm sorry, I intruded. And then a couple of days later, there was wild turkeys on my lawn. And last week there was a deer on my lawn. Oh, there's Bigfoot. I just got excited. Yeah. So this big old birds of prey out here. I kind of dig it.
yeah, they're pretty fascinating, and I guess they're supposed to. I don't know which birds, but they do have like good memory, so they can recognize like specific people and attack you.
Yeah. Supposedly, when I went to Iceland, they have ravens all over the place, and I didn't realize how big ravens are. I just mixed up ravens and crows in my mind. And the ravens were huge, and they were on the statues looking down at you. You really feel like Odin or something like that when you look at them. So I heard that there's ravens, not a lot, but they are on Long Island. So I keep trying to find them, and I want to leave them stuff. I want to try to get them to land in my backyard, and they will land on your shoulders and copy your voice. Just totally cultivate the Odin thing going there. Ravens.
You got to look for it.
Yeah, that's my favorite mythological figure is Odin.
Yeah.
So, Logan, you live out in the country. Do you have encounters with big animals?
Big animals, not so much. There are mountain lions out west, but it's pretty rare for them to wander towards me because I'm on the East River.
Okay. Fabrizio, are you in a populated? Are you in the suburbs? Or?
I'm in the city now, but I grew up in the middle of PA. So wildlife was definitely all around. I lived in Elk County, but there were no elk in Elk County. There are now, though.
I remember I lived in Albuquerque, and I was out by the Indian reservations. I made friends with a couple of people, and I remember we were drinking in what could only be called a cowboy saloon, and some guy came in, and he had an elk, and they all helped carry it in. He brought it into the back room, and that was his tab for the year to drink. I was like, man. To a New Yorker, I was just like, wow, that was so cool.
That's nuts.
So
one thing I was going to say is,
Bigfoot wanted the sleigh ride.
Yeah, he just wants to play. No, I've seen it twice now. My brother saw it once with me, but pretty sure there's a wolverine around.
Oh wow!
Which would be really unusual for around here. It'd be
They're
pretty awesome.
nasty. They're real, yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't know what else it could be.
I got raccoons that we have an understanding. I got some feral cats that live under my shed. Oh, look at that!
This footage allegedly shows
He's jaunty, like he's.
Yeah, that Bigfoot
is unknown, so the circumstances can
Yeah,
only be
he's-
speculated
He's
about.
a jolly
He's a
fellow,
good
for sure.
Now,
Yeah.
like,
Appears to be running
now,
into
would-
something or
wouldn't you think it would be funny to like put on a costume and just run around the woods? Like, would you?
Yeah.
get shot?
I think that's what we're watching.
Yeah, because to me that looks like a costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can lead to other conclusions.
Well, I was saying I got stray cats, and we leave out food, and then
That hair is
an hour
long.
after the cats, we leave out more food. And the raccoons, they don't bother my garbage. They you know, I always joke around that it's like the Goodfellas, little tribute for Paulie, and they leave my house. My neighbors, their garbage cans are knocked over and everything, but the raccoons, they're like, look at it, that guy's all right.
That's funny.
What's this guy gonna do? Those look like fun.
Yeah.
Like I get excited. I'm trying to spot. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Bigfoot?
Yeah.
When the creature walks directly over the creek bed, further away from him.
Where is he? Where's he
Oh,
gonna
way
come?
out there.
Oh, he's all the way in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Even if we don't believe that this is true, do you think the people in the videos believe it, or are they like, it's probably not true, but I'm going to post a video? Or do you think they're like 100%?
Could it be pranks, reviews? Yes. You know, again, my wife says I'm a Debbie Downer. Like, she'll show me something, and I'm like, you know, it could be this, it could be that. You know, she'll jump right to like it's an angel or a fairy, and I'm jumping to like, that's some guy just went to a store and bought some costume.
Yeah, my wife believes in ghosts, and she always tells me the stories that her other like girlfriends tell her, and I'm like, no, that was just a crooked floor. No, that was just wind, you know.
Yeah, I got one of my best friends. His father was a cop. You know, the last guy in the world you think to you know, get tricked by. But he was dreaming of this World War II pilot. Some guy, you know, in his dreams. And then he went next door because there was an old lady. You know, I forget why. Like either she asked for help or just being a good neighbor. He just moves into the neighborhood, and when he goes into the house, there's the guy in the photograph, and she's like, yeah, we used to live next door, but that house was too big and we moved here, you know. And he's like, oh my god, it was a ghost. I'm like, hey Paul, you know, it's when you dream, and dreams are and then you see something and you're like, oh yeah, that was my dream. But
yeah,
we kind of retroactively, I don't know.
Yeah, our memory is worthless, you know.
But I remember when I was a kid, my father was a telephone man in Manhattan, and we worked in it was a Saturday. I'd go to work with my dad on Saturdays, and then we'd go get pizza and do stuff. You know, it was a fun day to spend with your dad. And he was working on Wall Street, and this was back telephones. You know, this is like probably like 72. You know, so big old clunky telephones on Wall Street. They had to get these telephones fixed, so they're paying overtime on Saturday to get the telephones fixed. And my father's repairing them, and I'm just running around the office. I'm the only person there, and I just opened up a door, and I swear to God, as clear as day, Satan was standing on a desk, and there was red lights, and he had the pitchfork. You know, it was like the stereotypical Satan. And I screamed, and my father comes running up because it's scary. And what is it? I go, shut the door, shut the door. And he goes, what? I go, the devil's in there. And then we open the door, and there's nothing. It's just a regular office. You know, there wasn't even lights. And, you know, for years I was convinced that I saw the devil on Wall Street. You know, I didn't even know what Wall Street was as a kid, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, what's easier to believe? Satan himself manifested himself right there, or a little kid was walking around a creepy area, an overactive imagination kid, you know? Whatever.
Meanwhile, you ran out of the room before you heard, "You are my chosen one, and you will take my word into the world."
Oh, you mean that could have been my secret origin?
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed out. I couldn't.
I never read Son of Satan. I always wanted to from Marvel.
Yeah, Son of Satan is. It lasted like 8 issues. It started out in Marvel Spotlight, so I think there's like 11 issues altogether. Excellent artwork. Oh my god! But it suffered from a lot of that early '70s Marvel stuff. They were just all over the place. I really do think that the editing was the grand scheme, the control of Marvel was all over the place. The Roy Thomas and around those years. You know, like Ghost Rider. How many times did they change his whole reason? You know, he came out at night. The same with the Hulk. So they didn't know what to do with it. That's why I was just saying today. I think that's why they resented Jim Shooter so much, because he came in and took control and told all these hippies to get to work. This is the famous one, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it? The Patterson Gimlin film.
I invited Brian Bow on this, but he actually crashed into Bigfoot yesterday, so he wrecked his car. He's dealing with that. But he was telling me the history of this, and it's funny. Oh, geez, that just scared the crap out of me. You saw me poop my pants live on John's Longbox, but I didn't know the history of that. But we've all seen it, right? That's been on the news.
Yeah.
The Jersey Devil. It's funny that my nephew lives by where the Jersey Devil is supposed to be, and we went out driving looking for him one night, and my wife is like, "You got to keep an open mind. You got to." And we just drove. I was just pissed off because the road was all bumpy, and I was in a I forget even like a Sonata. You know, it wasn't built for off-roading. I was like, we got to get out of here. The car's gonna get stuck. So we didn't see the Jersey Devil.
No.
Yeah, I think the old film obviously is the most convincing, just because, you know, before this you weren't going to make $1 million if you found a video. But there's a podcast called Astonishing Legends. I don't know if you guys know it. And they must have talked 3 or 4 hours about this video and go into the history of the people and all this kind of stuff. I don't remember anything. Just to show,
what was their conclusion?
I mean, they always say, well, we don't know. You know, they always leave it open. But they look at the motivations of the people, you know, because some people's lives are ruined when you come out and you say you believe in Bigfoot and you kind of get made fun of. So because of that, it always lends a little credence to the fact that at least they believed it, even if, you know, it wasn't real.
Like that Bigfoot video that we just watched, I forget the name of it. The Peterson video.
Patterson Gimlin.
Patterson Gimlin.
Mm.
I've seen that my whole life, but you know, I never really investigated. It's like that famous picture of the Loch Ness monster that we all know. You know, we've seen it our whole lives, but you know, what do you think about that? The Loch Ness monster.
No, probably not in Loch Ness, but maybe somewhere.
Like a friend of mine said, like, yeah, probably around 1910. It's probably dead by now. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Actually, didn't they discover eels in Loch Ness?
They did?
I think they did, and they thought maybe that's what caused the legend.
But I also heard that the guy admitted that it was a hoax or something, you know?
Oh, that picture probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so maybe there was a legend and he created a hoax.
That could be.
I don't know.
But the Patterson Gimlin, what really destroys the credibility of it is when you find out that they were actually going out to film Bigfoot that day. That was their goal.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Convenient.
Yeah.
And also, like, the guy's friend, I forget his name, he was friends with this dude who was like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And was like a
What are
perfect
the
person
odds?
to put in the suit.
That's
And they
another
were
one of my
known con
favorite.
men, so.
My famous sayings. There are no coincidences, you know.
Yeah.
So, have you guys ever had any supernatural experiences? I imagine, like, I'm not a comic book creator, but I'm a comic book enjoyer. So I would say that we're all imaginative people. You know, have you seen ghosts or vampires?
Yeah, I mean, I've felt like a few times I saw a ghost, but in my head, I'm like, it had to have been something else. Even if, like you said, like the Satan appearing on the desk.
Yeah, wow.
I woke up in the middle of the night, and I swear I was floating down into my like living room. It like, if I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that totally happened. But my brain goes, I'm like, well, obviously it didn't happen because it can't happen.
Right.
So I think just the difference is everybody kind of has weird experiences, but some people just say, oh, it's I don't even know what it was, but it wasn't supernatural, even if I can't explain what it was.
Anything, Logan?
I'm pretty sure I saw a werewolf when I was a kid, but
Wow.
how can that be, you know?
Well, that's interesting, though.
Was it a human guy with claws, or was it?
I swear it was this perfect silhouette against this tree of like a humanoid wolf. It's crazy.
Wow.
I was you're gonna laugh at me for this, but I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school, and I'm admitting this live on the internet. I would tell the nuns, "Oh, I have to go serve a mass, or I have to go serve a funeral," you know, and then I would take my cassock and surplice and go play pinball for 2 hours. Because the nuns never questioned, and it never even entered their mind that this jerk of a kid would be lying to them about mass or a funeral, because funerals were whatever, you know.
Right.
So, and they were like 2 hours long. So I'm playing pinball. So once there was other kids playing pinball, so I had to commit to 2 hours, you know. So I went into the church, and they had a basement where they stored hundreds and hundreds of chairs. You can't turn the lights on. You can't let anybody know that you're there. And I figured I was just gonna like sit down there. So here I am, you know, I'm lying to the teachers, I'm lying to the nuns, I'm lying to everybody. So I'm already freaked. And then I'm in the basement of the creepy church. You know, you're trying to be quiet. And I open up the door, and just as vivid as I saw Satan, Jesus on the cross, Jesus carrying the cross, was walking by, and I shut the door, freaked out, you know. And of course I recollect I saw Jesus. Now I saw you know. And I went back up, you know. And oh yeah, the mass was over quickly, you know. Sat down and never told anybody about that, you know. But
wow,
imagination, kid, you know.
It's funny. I went to Catholic school and church, and I was an altar boy as well. And I actually think that environment is like a big part of me getting into art and sort of kind of obsessed with kind of death and kind of creepy stuff. You know, you're surrounded by a hanging guy being tortured. Like it really, it plays into that. The funny thing, okay, here's one supernatural thing. We have our high school, and then we had this convent, and then we had the other school. And there's a pathway, you know, to get from one to the other. And we would always be messing around late at night, like 1 or 2 o'clock. And on the second floor in the convent, there was this one room with a red light in it. And then one day we're walking by, and I look up, and I'm like, that looks like a praying nun at like 2 a.m. It was really creepy.
Just chills. It was creepy.
It was weird, right? And we're like, oh my, we were freaking out, you know. So after that, we're like, in any time it would be midnight or something, we would go to the convent and see if this nun was praying. And she was always there, always. In the middle of the night in this red room, right? Well, that went on for years. It kind of became a little legend. And it turns out that red light was an exit sign. And the praying nun was just these 2 statues. If you look at it right, looked like a praying nun. So it was always there. So.
That is awesome. You know, that is just the little kids, you know.
Yeah.
What's the name of that movie? But there's a movie where it's based on Caligari, the guy who wrote Vampire, and Mary Shelley, and Lord Byron. They're all having the week. This is supposed to be the weekend where they all. American Gothic's the name of the movie, but it's based on the weekend where they all got together and drank absinthe together, and they all independently came up with their horror novels that became the basis of all horror. And they're tripping on the absinthe, and they're drinking and whatever, and lightning hits a tree, and they're all watching it, you know, eyes all bugged out. And Caligari goes, "Oh, the tree is moving! The tree is moving!" And Mary Shelley goes, "You see, lightning can animate everything, you know, the tying all together of Frankenstein." And Lord Byron says, "You see, lightning hit the tree and burnt the tree down, but our imaginations gave it life and ambience and movement." And I always thought that was such a great quote, you know, who's to say what really happened? We believe for a moment lightning caused the tree to move. Lightning gave it life. Our imagination gave it life. I love that. So your imagination created this nun, you know. That is so cool. You know?
I actually ended up writing a short story about it. Maybe I'll post it on Twitter one of these days. It's not too long,
so
but
cool. That is so. And I can see if I was hanging out there in Pennsylvania with you, I'd be like, yeah, that's a nun, you know. Even if I knew the truth, because
yeah,
you know,
we would take some girls there that didn't know that it was, you know, the exit sign. We were like, look, it's the praying nun. You know, it was.
There was a abandoned and broke down. I don't know what the building, but it was some sort of municipal building, and it was abandoned. Oh, thank you, David. David's one of my neighbors. He's in the house. Thank you, David. It just looked like a mansion, but it was all burnt down, and you know, guys would go there to to make out with their girlfriends. Guys would go there to drink, and then there was legends that like if you stepped in the wrong spot, you'd fall through. So I only explored like a 20th of this place, but it was huge, and it was this fenced-in facility. But if you went through the woods, the fence was knocked down because teenagers need a place to drink their beers, and make out with girls. But we were little kids. We were in like 5th or 6th grade, so we would go in there, and there was grates that were open, so you could actually go into the sewers. And we had legends of giant rats. We had legends of vampires hanging upside down there. And my friend Joe called it Castle Monterey.
Oh wow!
It turned out it was like a water processing plant. But for years it was like, you want to go to Castle Monterey? And we're like, no. And then once we started getting girls to infiltrate our weirdo group, we'd bring the girls. They were like, no, we're not going to Castle Monterey. And nobody called it this public facility building number 17. It was Castle Monterey, and now they knocked it down and it's condos, and
man,
maybe there was a nun in there. That would have been perfect.
That's interesting because we are just endlessly looking for a mystery to solve, even if there isn't one. It's just we're hardwired for some reason.
Human beings are hardwired to put patterns onto things. Have you ever read Understanding Comics?
Yeah.
That chapter about he like right now, just say that I'm a comic book frame, like that you drew me. He's like, I don't have. He goes, you see you know where my legs are, even though they don't exist. Because your brain knows that this is a human being. There's obviously legs down here, but we are just hardwired, and that's helps us. Helps comic book people make comic books. Like you feel like Alan Moore was playing that when you see the creators on Mars and the Watchmen, and we turning them into smiley faces. So many people, like now we see pictures from Mars, and our brain is putting in patterns. It's look, this is aliens. This. I don't know. I think that's like a human thing.
Yeah,
that's why little kids like Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
we like imaginations. We like mysteries to solve, and it bothers us when we can't solve, so we figure it out ourselves. There's a red light in it, and a figure that has to be a scary nun. And I bet you somebody knew that nun and knew why she was exiled to the attic, and had a story about, she had an affair with the priest and they stole the money and the Pope told her she could.
Exactly.
My other ghost experiences, I was camping and it was night, and we were in Pennsylvania, and I'm walking to the outhouse kind of facility, and there was like a Benjamin Franklin guy, and he totally was walking through trees. You know what I mean? And when I tell my wife all these stories, she's like, "Why don't you believe this stuff?" I'm like, "Because human beings, we make this stuff up." What about you, Logan? Any ghosts?
No ghosts.
No ghosts.
This weekend, my brother thought he was getting choked out by a ghost. He woke up. Yeah. Woke up.
Never felt a ghost.
Didn't say anything, just felt it.
Wow.
I remember once I was sleeping over. My friend Jimmy had two beds in his room, and I'm sleeping in one bed, he's sleeping in the other. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and he's standing like a vampire. And he says he couldn't move. He had that, what's that, night tremors?
Oh, sleep paralysis
or whatever.
Sleep paralysis.
Oh my God, it was the scariest. I took off my socks, threw it at him. He was, believe I didn't go back to sleep that night. I thought Jimmy was gonna hack me.
Yeesh. I get sleep paralysis, and it is terrifying. I know that the legend or the myth back in the day is they didn't know what it was, and there's all these drawings and paintings you can see of like hags or witches or demons sitting on people's chests. I'm like,
incubus and succubus.
Yeah, I mean, it was way better when I didn't see those drawings. At first I'm like, now every time it happens, I picture some like.
How often does that happen?
I don't know, maybe once a month or something. Yeah,
it happened to me once as a kid, and it was scary. Do you have any recurring dreams?
No, I did have this one dream that was like a full short story, and it wasn't recurring, but it kind of like picked up. So like chapter 1 was one night, and then chapter 2, and then it ended on the third night. That was always interesting. I wrote that down. That's going to be a story one of these days too.
I've had full-on stories waking up like I got to write this down that have become scripts for comics that are, don't exist yet, but they're logged in my computer.
Oh, that's awesome. Being diligent and actually doing it, because everybody says, "Oh, I'm totally going to write it down," and they never do.
Yeah, I wake up and I love sleep. I have the most pleasant dreams, but once in a while I'll have recurring dreams, and they're all about school. I'll dream that lately. I don't know what's going on. Any Freud in the audience explain this to me, but I'll dream that like I'm just back in grammar school. It's like Billy Madison. But I'm me, 50 years old. I have a house. I have a job, and it's like, oh, you got to finish and like partway through the dream, I'm like, I don't have to do this. Like I'm sitting in English class and the teacher's boring, and I'm like, dude, I already went to college. I graduated. I have a master's degree. Like why am I? And the next day, my father, who's passed on, he's like, you got to go to school. So I'm pretending to go to school. I'm playing hooky in my dream. And then my job is just like, you got to finish school so you can come back to work. And I'm like, what does this dream mean? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. I guess we're talking about our recurring dreams and supernatural effects. If I may continue to talk, anybody want to say anything? Because I'll talk.
No, you're good.
You go for it.
Okay. I dated this girl back in college. And we had like a big fight about this. Was her she believed in supernatural. She believes in ghosts and witchcraft and everything. And she's crying, telling me this story. You're gonna learn what an asshole I am after this story is if you couldn't figure it out already. So she's telling me this story about her grandfather died. And she's crying. She's talking about she misses her grandfather. That's whatever. And then she's like, yeah, and I was thinking about it. And then the phone rings. And I pick up the phone, and it's my grandfather, and he just says, I just wanted to say I love you, goodbye. And I'm like, that didn't happen. And she's like, what do you mean my grandfather? I'm like, that absolutely 100% didn't happen. And she's like, how could you say that? It was us. I was like, I don't know. I said, I'm willing to believe that the phone rang and somebody that you didn't understand and you wanted to hear it, or you dreamt it, and then a week later you thought it was real, but that didn't happen. Oh man, did we fight about that?
You couldn't have waited like a day.
Instantly. I'm like,
well, there is this weird,
tears on our face.
Oh my god. There's like this like big push for astrology. I'm starting to see astrology and new age stuff pop up everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's America's losing their religion, and this is
right.
Exactly what it is.
Religious.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to get into religious beliefs, what I believe or whatever. It doesn't matter. But we are hardwired to see patterns. We're hardwired to solve mysteries, and we're hardwired for religion. So if whatever the religion was, the Roman Greek religion, when that collapsed, Christianity, boom, and now we're getting rid of Christianity or Judeo-Christian. I'll even throw in Islam, but Islam's still on the rise. And now we're filling that void with something else. Scientism, astrology, whatever you want to call it. Progressivism is a religion, if you ask me.
Yeah. So there's all these little mini ones. Because astrology, I felt like it was kind of popular for a little bit, and then people, it kind of went away like 20 years ago or something. And now, I don't know, I see it all over the place. And like there's tarot cards everywhere. Now, admittedly, again, the stuff is fun in a it's not real kind of way.
And I wish it was. How cool would that be,
Yeah.
Here's some cards.
Yeah, cool pictures on it, and so it would be fun. But as soon as somebody takes it seriously, then I'm like, all right, well, you're making it less fun because you actually believe this stuff. I always think about like the 20s whenever Houdini is essentially debunking all of these like seances and stuff. That had to have been a wild time.
Yeah, he actually had he told his wife, he goes, if anybody claims to speak to me, if it's real, this is what I'm going to say. And he wrote it in an envelope. He told his wife, and it's locked away. I don't know if it's ever been revealed or whatever, or if that disappeared when his wife died. So he was like setting up, like, because people are going to be like, oh, this is Houdini. So she had to go there and be like, nope, that's not him, because he told me what he was going to say. So he was debunking even after death.
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Here's another.
Everyone
John's
should probably
asshole
do
story.
that.
I went on before I met my wife, did a computer dating. People like, you gotta go. So I met this girl. This was back in New Mexico, and beautiful girl. She looked like a Deborah Messing. I just remember she was just way out of my league. So here I am, beautiful woman, me being just same as without the beard. She sits down, and the first thing out of her mouth is, "Oh, what sign are you?" And I was just like, "Here's money for a meal. I'm going." And I just got up and left. I was just like, "This ain't going anywhere."
Yeah.
Just tell her, well, my moon's in retrograde, something.
I'm in leaving. What's the sign for I don't believe in astrology and I'm leaving? Yeah, I guess I still am a jerk.
No.
I had another funny story to tell about this. Oh, I took an astronomy class when I was at the University of New Mexico, and I'll never forget the teacher. It was a big auditorium. There was like 500 people in the class. It was one of my favorite classes, and the teacher was just like, he handed out dittos. He's like, just give me $5, and this is all you need from the textbook, to cover the price of, so you don't have to spend $80 on a textbook. These are the pages that you need. And I thought he was great. And he goes, he goes, I call this class poetry for astronomers, and that was his name for the class, was really Astronomy 101. And he would have slideshows going, and it was just great. But the very first class, he goes, I just want to make sure that you understand that this isn't astrology. This is astronomy. He goes, they're different. Astrology is a pseudoscience. Astronomy is a science. And this one girl got up and started yelling at him. And the teacher was nice. He just let her do her thing. And he's just like, I hate to break it to you, but, there's no basis for science in astrology. And, if this isn't for you, feel free to leave. And the girl, threw down everything and stormed out.
Did she flip a tarot card before she left?
The guy started getting thin right in front of everybody because he was a big, heavy-set guy. That would have been awesome. I'd be like, whoa, all right, I'm in the wrong class.
So let me ask you this. So, again, I do keep everything open, meaning I don't believe in anything, but the more we learn about physics and quantum mechanics and multi-dimensional superstring stuff, there is space for things to happen.
Correct, yeah.
But we just don't have any proof or evidence of it. But there is space. Whereas before, I'm like, if somebody said, can you be a psychic? Well, no, there's no evidence for it. But if you kind of if you think about multi-dimensions and maybe there's a dimension where you can send thoughts and they've done some study, there's always space for almost anything, except for time travel, which is impossible.
I'll tell you a funny. I was living in Long Beach, New York, and it's this very big Hasidic community, a Jewish Hasidic community. And I guess with my beard or whatever, the rabbi came knocking on the door, and he was like, "Oh, I just happened to be cooking." I was like, "Come on in." I was making bacon and eggs. He didn't want any bacon, And he's sitting down and we're talking, and he was selling books. Why can't I remember what is the Jewish mysticism called? Kabbalah. He's selling Kabbalah books. And he's like, how much? I was like, he goes, $10. I was like, oh, hold on. I went and I got $10 because I'm fascinated with all this stuff. When I went to college, I studied religions of the world and everything like that. Like I said, I have an open mind. I don't believe in anything, but I have an open mind. I'm not going to dismiss what you believe because I can't disprove it either.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, and after a while, he sees my roommate was a Coptic Christian from Egypt. And my other roommate was Jewish, and at the time I went to the Catholic school. So it was a really cool house, a lot of good philosophical debates. But he sees this Coptic cross after a while, and he goes, "Are you Jewish?" I was like, "No." He goes, "Oh, I thought you were Jewish." I said, "I never said I was, never said I wasn't, but I'm interested in the book." I was very respectful, I said, does that change the fact that we had a pleasant conversation, that we're having eggs, and coffee in the house? And he's like, oh, he was a little uncomfortable after this. I said, well, I'm buying the book, but I'm telling you right now, and I said, what does this Kabbalah do for me? He goes, oh, it'll give you mental exercises. You'll be able to release your spirit, and your spirit could travel through time and all this. I was like, oh, wow. I said, it doesn't work. He goes, what do you mean it doesn't work? I said, because if I could release my spirit, travel back in time, the first thing I'm going to do is show up right now to tell me to read this book to make sure, that and I said, I've yet to materialize to tell myself to read the book, so therefore it doesn't. And he's just like, got up and left. Hello, Blake. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, hey, Blake. How's it going?
Hello.
Yeah, so that's the kind of jerk I am.
You said, like, was the bacon a sign that I wasn't Jewish? Like, wasn't that a tip-off?
I don't know if I was really making bacon. It's just one thing to say. But, and I remember he told me that there has to be more to life than atoms. He goes, because I'm flesh and this is a thing. I said, yeah, I know. But I said, here we are, if you have milk, egg, and cream over here, you got a cupcake. And if you have pancakes and it's all just ratios and proportions. It was a good conversation. I really enjoyed it. Never came back. I was respectful.
Yeah, I've never had a run-in like that.
Faith, but I enjoy that. I used to enjoy talking to the nuns. Talking about religion. Talking. My wife is her family is Anglican. And to my father, that might as well have meant pagan. but I enjoy every once in a while. She, I grew up Roman Catholic, so I enjoy hearing the differences in the churches and faiths, and like, oh, I never heard that before. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, those like cultural traditions inside a religion are sometimes have value in and of themselves, even if you don't particularly believe it. Still, they're very interesting, like, and sometimes beautiful, like traditions and and events that go on through a lot of culture or religions.
My wife would she would love it when we would go to my churches. Between weddings and funerals. Unfortunately, that seems to be the only time we go to church anymore. But she would love the statues and the whole pageantry of wearing the vestments and she. And I agree with her. We'd like to go to a Latin mass. I've never seen that. How cool would that be?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I dated a girl. I dated a lot of people because when you're a jerk, you break up with a lot of people. But she was Eastern Orthodox, and I didn't. At this point, I think I was like, "Whoa, what happened? Did I lose everybody?"
No, you're good. A light went out or something.
Oh, my camera. I haven't touched the camera for a while, so I went to sleep mode.
Oh, the screen went to sleep.
Either that or it was God telling me to stop being a jerk. But which ain't gonna happen, God. Come on, you of all people should know. But she was Eastern Orthodox, and I just remember it was like a whole new world. I literally when I'm 17 years old, I don't venture out of these circles, right? Mm-hmm. And it was Easter week, and she was like, don't even call me. Don't come over. Easter week is a big deal. She was like, I'll see you in 10 days. Like 10 days? 10 days? What are you guys crazy? I just remember finally meeting the family, and it was like, I just like, you're Greeks. You're the same as Italian. I'm Italian. No, it was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy that stuff. Yeah. I remember one girl, she was telling me she was telling me that she wants to go to Egypt. I remember we were sitting in a cafe in Albuquerque. I want to bask in the healing powers of the pyramids. I'm like, I should get Robert Geronimo this story. He's a history guy, and I'm like, healing power of the pyramids? Can you prove that? And she's like, yeah, the pyramids, this angle and this angle. And I was like, it was built by slaves. They said 10,000 people died making those pyramids. I said, and they were the monuments to the pharaoh's vanity. I said, Egypt was the greatest culture at the point in that part of the world, and the resources of the nation went to build these pyramids to the point where they collapsed and they were invaded by the Hyksos and taken away. And Egypt is 3 or 4 different civilizations. The pyramids destroyed an entire civilization. I said, you still want to go there for the heal? And I'll never. She just goes, "You're an asshole." I got up and
There is a place. Is it in New
There's a
York?
pa-
Lilydale. Do you know anybody?
No.
Lilydale. Have you ever heard of that? So it's a little town that's essentially all like spiritualists and mediums and stuff like that. And a friend of mine's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Lilydale?" I'm like, "That sounds great."
That does.
Because we're on the same page on this stuff. So we're walking around. It's pretty fascinating, but the one thing that really killed me was there was this thing called the healing stump. And, oh, well, let's go to the healing stump. So we go down this path or whatever, and there's the history of the healing stump. And I might get this a little wrong, but essentially, the healing stump used to be the healing tree until the healing tree died.
Yeah.
And then it became the healing stump. So it could apparently heal everything but itself.
It was selfless. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have
So-
enough to save itself.
If people are looking for the healing powers of something, they'll find
Where
it.
is this town? Is it upstate New York? Is it Long
Is
Island?
it Lilydale?
I never heard about it.
I'm blanking on it. I was there a
My
few
wife
years
and I
ago.
would go to Tarrytown every year, which is the
Oh,
real Sleepy Hollow. You know, they
Yeah.
changed the name. I loved it up there. You know, I'd go there. We used to go every Halloween season, and we stopped going. We gotta bring that tradition back.
Sleepy Hollow, one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, isn't it great?
I love the story and the movie, even though they have nothing to do with each other. There's still anything around Sleepy Hollow or Halloween. I
I
love.
still never seen the movie because they changed it. I'm hard line. If you change the source material, I want to have nothing to do with it. You know.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing like it. I still like the movie though. It's still pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember I had tickets to go, and my girlfriend and a couple of her friends at the time, and I gave the ticket to my roommate. I said, "I'm not, you know, it's not the story. I'm not going. You know."
I mean, the short story. I don't. Not much goes on in the short story though. It's like a snippet though. I don't know how they could make a movie out of that.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a real short story. I know. I'm hardcore about that. I'm trying to think of other like a. Oh! When you talk about the healing stump, I lived out in New Mexico, and I forget the name of the town, but there was a. That's gonna drive me nuts. But there's a church, Chimeo, and they call it the Lords of America. You know, you go to get healing, and my parents, they took a van and they drove out with my sister and my sister's two kids. My sister's younger daughter was autistic as a child, and my mother's like, "We're gonna bring her to Chimeo." And if you went to Chimeo, there was a hole in the ground, and there was holy dirt. And the priest will bless you with the holy dirt, and you know, and there's crutches and all of this. Like, people no longer need their crutches and everything like that. So, you know, I don't believe anything. So I'm like, all right, you know, but my mother does. You know,
Yeah.
so my mother's coming out. I haven't seen him in like a year at this point. So this is cool. We're gonna drive around the country. You know, so we go to Chimeo, and my autistic niece Allison just runs full speed, trips, and falls head first into the hole, and it's like Charlie Brown, big smoke goes on the, and she comes up, and it's like she's in blackface. Her whole face is.
Oh my god.
The priest was. I got to give him credit because that's a good sign. You know, and we all laughed. She's like, "Yeah, if you knew she needed a lot of healing, she's not autistic anymore." You know, so go figure.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, John, I'm starting to sense a pattern. You saw the devil.
I know.
You saw Jesus. You've seen an awful lot, and you still don't believe anything.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, but it's easier to believe she was misdiagnosed. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
go
yeah.
out. I don't know. The thing though, like for empirical data, it has to be repeatable. You know, so like one-off stuff is a, you know, we can't test it. You know, I don't know. You know, I guess I'm. What is it from the X-Files? What the woman with Scully? You know, she didn't believe anything.
Yeah.
Like there'd be like
Scully.
aliens probing her, and she's like, "I don't believe in aliens."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's me. I don't know.
I would say out of anything, I think there's most room for like ghosts or something like that, or what we imagine as a ghost.
Out of all these, I'm saying Bigfoot is to me the most realistic. You know, sea
Yeah.
creatures are the most realistic. Like Loch Ness
Sea
Monster,
creatures, definitely. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
even space aliens. Like, are we as arrogant enough to believe that we are the only thing in the universe?
I am. I'm 100% that arrogant. Yeah, because people always say, okay, it's a 1 and I don't know, billion to the billion to the billion to the billionth power, right? Statistically, it doesn't work out, but that's not accurate because we have no measurement. Meaning, it's not like we took a sample of planets and we found life in these planets. We have one planet with life on it, and everything else. So
and it's lousy with life, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you flip over a rock in Antarctica, and there's like, oh wow, there's a new species of microorganism that we didn't think could exist. You know,
Yeah.
you're going into the deep sea next to the volcanoes, and there's life. Oh my God, there's this new form of life that we didn't think could exist. You know what I mean? So, like what you said,
tardigrades.
but that's arrogant to say that we have all the information. You know, that's statistically based on the information that we have.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I out of everything, I do think statistically or mathematically, the likelihood of alien life is I don't know, that it's so cool. I don't know. I think as much as of a curmudgeon I am, I do think like us being the only planet with life is lonely and depressing.
Yeah.
You know,
It is. I mean, it's nice to think that there's giant alien monsters that are the size of Cthulhu that at any moment could plop down. I mean, that's fun.
You were talking about Houdini. Around Houdini times, there was Madame something with a B.
Blavatsky?
Blavatsky, that's it. That's Madame Blavatsky. And she, for those of you who don't know, she was a psychic and she predicted things. She said that somewhere around like the year 22 something, we will go off into space and we will find something so horrific in space that we will abandon space travel for hundreds of years. That still scares me. You know, what will we find Cthulhu? You know, floating around someplace on some horrible planet? I don't know. You know, what would we find that's horrible in space? All right, let's get back to Earth then. Space is scary.
What'd you find? What did you find? Oh, nothing. Just there's nothing. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I'm like kind of like my favorite creature is fairies. Like fairy, and I'm trying to come up with the comic book idea about fairies. And I know like around like the 1800s, fairies were the things that scared people, and then slowly aliens became the thing that scared people. But the description was the same: little green men, you know, and like so. I always thought like space aliens and fairies came from the same psychological need or want or whatever. Fairies would abduct you. Aliens abduct you, you know. Little green men were fairies, and now little green men are space aliens. Like, are aliens just more primitive? Or that's a mean thing to say because these people like invented civilization. Like, we're arrogant enough to say that they were primitive, but less scientifically advanced people. Were they getting abducted by aliens and described, and you know, but just described them as fairies because they didn't have the wherewithal to think of spaceships and warp drives and everything. And I think that's a cool
So
idea.
if you think it's plausible that there's other life, I mean, do you believe in sort of the aliens building the pyramids and the Sphinx, and is that something, or is that ludicrous?
I don't think it's ludicrous. I had a foreman, you know, I'm a technical job, you know, I'm an electrician, you know, I'm on projects, we're building the airports and stuff. And I had a foreman who 100% said it was built by, not by aliens, but aliens gave them the wherewithal and they had magnetic levitation. And this is a guy who's building skyscrapers, you know, believed it. So, you know, I think it's, I don't know. I think that you get a genius like Imhotep and you get 60 years and you get 100,000 people, you could build a pyramid, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I think humanity is more clever than you know, even a dumb guy out, you know, again, that's a mean thing to say. Even a lone person out in the wilderness someplace, he'll build like reservoirs and irrigations and give himself the semblances of modern life, you know. Now just imagine he's a genius and he has 100,000 people working on it, you know. So I don't know. I think it cheapens humanity to say that space alien. You don't understand it, so your explanation is space aliens.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I've never bought the alien thing in general, but I guess
Did aliens visit us at some point in the past? Who am I to say? It would be so much cooler if Jack Kirby was correct. How
Stargate
cool,
was real.
yeah, how cool would that be? It would be amazing. Like Robert E. Howard and a lot of these guys said that humanity's been around for 2 million years, but we only kind of know about 7,000 of those years.
Yeah.
And every time we find something, the origins of humanity is getting pushed back. Like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a civilization that, that got wiped out by the Ice Age or aliens or a flood that we know nothing about? Wouldn't that be cool to think? I don't know. That wouldn't be cool to think that a whole civilization got destroyed, but you know what I'm talking about.
It's honestly more likely than it isn't likely.
When
you look at the amount of time there is, because the human brain's been unchanged for, is it 100,000 or is it 300,000 years?
Of what was that? I'm sorry, I missed you.
Like our mental capacity, the human brain, as it is now, it's been at least 100,000. It might have been even 300,000 years. That's been this way.
I don't know. Like Cro-Magnon, man. I've read that the average Cro-Magnon was smarter than the average human of today.
Maybe.
Because they had to deal with life and death situations on a daily basis,
Right. That's when you have to take into account, like, what do you consider intelligence? Like, when we sit around and pontificate and don't get anything done, is that really intelligence?
Yeah.
Whereas if you actually deal with the real world,
the average person doesn't need to deal with saber-tooth tigers and famines and insects and listen, if you get sick, if you get a cold, you're gonna die. The average person does. So I don't know. The ancient Greek had to deal with a harsh environment. Like I'm talking like the Mycenaean Greeks. These guys had to know when to plant, and if they had a harsh winter, they had to come up with a solution. No wonder they invented civilization, because it was a art through adversary survival. Now we're like, the average jerk could just sit in the basement and be like, you're wrong because of this, and they still have a cheeseburger over here. They're not going to die if they're wrong.
Right.
I don't know. Got me philosophical. You got me monologuing. and I talk too much, so Foley tells me to shut up.
No.
Very good.
I talk on my Wednesday live chats. My wife says, you got to stop talking and let other people talk. Matter of fact, Fabrizio, you were the first time I really said, oh man, I talked that whole thing and didn't let Fabrizio talk.
No, I mean, sometimes it's okay to let people talk if they have something to say. I'm definitely, if I don't have anything to say, I don't. So that's why
I always have something to say. Whether it's important or not is up to other people. Yeah, I'll talk too much. What do you think, Logan? What's your
What about dark matter? What do you think that's about?
I don't. I'll defer to the scientists. I don't know enough about it.
Well, neither do they. That's the problem.
So that's most of the universe, right?
Right. It's the missing. Now, is dark matter like an unknown? Like, I don't even know, or is it like planets that aren't rotating around stars, so we can't really detect them?
It's a substance. We literally don't know what it is.
I remember reading that, like, they're saying like what they call rogue planets. So here we have the sun and whatever, Proxima Centauri or Arcturus, and we could detect the planets because they interfere with the light and the gravity and stuff. So, but dark matter would be, to my understanding, would be a planet that doesn't orbit a star. So like maybe the star went nova, or there was some sort of collision or something passed it. So these planets, or maybe they just formed in the darkness. Is that dark matter? Like, I don't even know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So I think they do know that there's a substance.
Really
they do know that there is this unknown substance. Like atoms, unlike our atoms.
Oh, okay. That's kind of scary.
Like incomprehensible because we can't study it because it's not anywhere near us,
Then I don't know. Then I can't say anything about it but I do
It's crazy. Though.
really like the
Like,
concept.
we know it's there, but
rogue planets. These
there's
planets
nothing we can do about it.
They're just attached to stars that are floating. Like, what could you imagine life on a rogue planet, and much less like a civilization on a rogue planet? Like, I don't know. I think
It
they
would be cold.
like
It would be
space
very
Vikings
cold.
that are just waiting. Like they hibernate until they warm up, and now they're in another civilization, and they wake
that's
up.
cool.
and now
They
attack
hibernate
other
until they pass into a
planets. Let's
star.
make this comic.
That's
my
a cool
gosh.
idea.
Write that down.
rogue planet.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. There you go. That's going to show up in issue 13 of Horace H. Hoover. Damn you! Oh my!
Well, he is looking for the lost universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I do mention that. Yeah, but that's a little different.
There we go. We got 3 creative people here. Let's make Rogue Planet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what dark matter is, but it almost sounds like something that yeah, there's got to be. Our theories are correct, so there's got to be dark matter out there, you know. Yeah, dark matter. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's always a danger of, and especially for physics, it's a lot of building blocks, and they make one assumption, and you can build a lot based on one assumption, and that can get totally pulled out, from underneath you at a certain point. So, yeah, who knows? Have you ever read Flatland? Have you guys ever read Flatland?
I've not. I'm familiar with it, but I've not read it.
I only know Flatland from Carl Sagan's Contact.
Oh, I don't know.
Not Contact, Cosmos. Like he
yeah.
talks about Flatland. Yeah, I highly recommend this. You guys get the Carl Sagan's Cosmos. It's a 13 hours. It is the greatest thing in the world. Don't watch the what Neil deGrasse Tyson's. He's not fit to shine the shoes.
He is the worst. He's the worst.
I used to really like him, and now he's just a troll on Twitter.
Yeah,
Carl
he's
Sagan
beyond
would
that a
never
lot.
insult people for being religious. Matter of fact, Carl Sagan, he thought it was important to get religious people to understand science. But anyway, I'm what were you saying about Flatland?
No, it was one of the first books that really got me into sort of like understanding dimensions in a way. It was written like in 1890 by a mathematician, but it's the first time I was able to think of dimensions like functionally. And ever since then, there's a book called Hyperspace. It's probably been 25 years since the book came out, by Mikio Kaku. I always get his name wrong. Mikio Chuchu.
Yeah.
He's a theoretical physicist. He's one of the first guys that did string theory. And ever since then, I don't know. I just feel like everything's wide open, kind of in a good way and in a bad way, because we can't experiment. We can't get any evidence for any of this stuff. And this could go on forever. Well, not forever, but it could go on for hundreds of years before we get the technology to like test some of these theories. So that kind of puts us in a weird spot. Do we build on the current building blocks that we have, assuming that they're right, and just go really far down the line? I don't know. We could end up in some wild places if that's the case.
What's his name? Stephen Hawking. They said that he was like 25 to 30 years ahead of what like practical physics, like could we use this physics to make the human condition any better? He was 25 to 30 years ahead of that. Like he was so theoretical that there was really no practical application. So like, I don't know, like string theory and stuff that, there's another one now, description theory and stuff. Like my realistic approach is like, does it matter? What we got now is working. Like Newtonian physics is working, and Einsteinian, like to the point where it's like, all right, we'll use this until we come. Like I drive a car until it breaks down. Like I don't need a new car yet. It's just expensive.
Yeah.
Now I got to deal with insurance all over again, and so I'll drive my beater, until the wheels fall off. But I don't know. Did the wheels fall off of Newtonian physics yet, or Einsteinian physics?
No, but I mean, the opportunity cost. So say, for example, string theory is totally wrong, or M theory, I guess, is the new whatever. If it's totally wrong, and we've spent decades and countless like man hours researching it, and it could be more decades, like the opportunity cost is like catastrophic, when it turns out it's completely wrong.
Wow. I have no answer. This is for smarter people than me to.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
I like the idea of like there has to be some sort of mystery, like dark matter. We don't know what it is, therefore that's the adamantium or the the unobtainium for comic book people to use to power superpower. There needs like I got really. This is gonna be weird, but I got really saddened once we mapped the world. Because now there is no room for Bigfoot in America. Like Bigfoot could only exist in the Amazon rainforest because that's unexplored.
Yeah.
If once we explore every square inch of the ocean and we explore every square inch of Earth, that's gonna be kind of a sad day,
I think we're going to get pretty far in space before we finish exploring the ocean, honestly.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because there has to be room, I was talking earlier about how I'm fascinated by fairies, and one of the things that I forget who it was. Was it Robert Blake? He said like fairies are afraid of maps because once there's a map area, there's no room for fairies to exist there. So in my role playing game, if a fairy ever attacks you, you take up a map and you hit them with it, and that's like a double insult. They'll leave you alone, because fairies. Once you mapped out an area, nobody leaves a room for a fairy. So I don't know. Like we need unexplored places for creative people to put Bigfoots and King Cryptid and Horace H. Hoover and Firewatch and all of these wonderful concepts that everybody has. Once we fully understand everything, there's really no room for Jack Kirby.
Yeah, and even in storytelling, I'm always really reticent to talk too much about stuff because you can't recapture going to the newsstand and grabbing that Daredevil book. You can't recapture like you're being 8 years old, but you can at minimum have that sense of wonder as I don't know what's going to happen when I turn the page. You can at least give yourself that, So I'm really reticent to talk too much about Horus and the world and what's going on. I try to hint at things without spoiling anything, because I think once the mystery's gone, then why am I flipping through this book at all then?
Yeah. Don't talk about it. You'll ruin it. You have me hooked.
Yeah, I really like Horus H. I know there's only one issue, so but you got me. I met you. I think Horus is a great world that I want, and I think you pushed all my buttons. I said it when I showcased the Horace H. Hoover comic. That you got a hint of superheroes. You got a hint of Lovecraft. You got a hint of the occult. You're pushing all of my buttons. So I can't. What are we talking? Get out of this video and stop making.
Get to work.
Yeah, this is my break. So.
You have a job, right? You're an engineer, if I remember correctly.
Software, yeah, I do software development, games and apps and whatnot.
Now, is software is applied science, technology is I don't know much about it. I can't believe I'm doing a YouTube channel because I'm very tech illiterate. Even though I am an electrician, but electrician is it's easy for me to understand, I guess, but in a roundabout way, I'm saying, is there room for poetry and the unknown and mystery in what you do?
No. I mean, it's just it's a tool to make stuff. So I was making games and I would program, for 6 hours, and then I would do the artwork to put into the game. So the outcome, the goal could be considered artwork or more creative. But as far as programming, you can do it in different ways, but it's not really creative. It's just different from one person to the next. But I am doing not to talk too much about horrors, but I am going to do an augmented reality app that if you take your phone and you hover it over Slurp, you'll be able to see what he says. So it'll be a translator, like a secret decoder ring kind of
That's
thing.
cool.
That'll
So.
be cool.
Tonic Bowl put little QR codes in his last issue of Saving the World, where because as soon as I saw it, I'm taking out the phone and scan. But it was to music videos, to what they were actually listening to.
Oh, that's cool.
They sit in the 90s. I think that stuff is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
in
a
the
great
comments,
idea.
Benjamin Soto says, "Tell the truth, Fabio. Horace is really a Sasquatch who got his head caught in a vacuum." Yeah, somebody was trying to get rid of all the fur.
That's 100% true.
Oh man!
Spoilers. I should have said spoilers.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, even Bigfoot feet? Big feet? What is the...
Yeah,
Sure.
they live
yeah.
next door to Bilbo, the big feet.
They have to keep their little camp clean, too. So,
Right,
you know.
yeah. That's what Bigfoot's doing. He's patrolling the campgrounds, making sure we're not litter. Him and Smokey the Bear are friends.
Yeah.
I forget, Logan. You're a farmer. during
Yeah.
the day?
You know,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
no, I have a computer science background, so I know what it's like for Patricio. God bless you. Like the time I've spent with Python, I did not enjoy.
That's legit. And so you went to school for computer science and you're doing farming now?
I just have an associate's degree. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I worked in the industry for a little while, but had some problems. Didn't work out for me.
farming is no joke. That's a rough job, man.
Yeah.
It can
That's
be.
cool.
Yeah.
Another girlfriend out in New Mexico, her grandfather was a rancher, and whenever we would go to visit him, because here I am, I used to say like City Mouse, Country Mouse, if you remember those cartoons,
Yeah.
and I'm out there like fascinated by everything. So it wasn't work for me, and I guess they thought I was an idiot going out there and doing free labor for them. But I was like, these are so cool, out there fixing the wire in the fences, and I didn't know how to ride horses, so I was no good with that. But helping them round up the cattle, I thought it was cool.
Mhm.
They were probably laughing at this jerk willing to work for free.
Man, there are definitely days where I wish I could be outside on a farm. There is no doubt
Not
about
today.
it.
Today was 92 degrees in New York.
Oh.
I'm not even
rainy
joking. If
here.
I may be gross, I had to use the porta potty, and I thought I was going to faint. To the point where I saw one of the safety directors. There's always a safety guy on a job site, and I was like, "You got to put a tent over these porta potties because
Jeez.
I almost passed out in the bathroom, and nobody would have found me.
Oh.
I would have roasted and died with no pants on.
That's...
Oh my gosh.
Dying on the toilet's bad. Dying in
me and Elvis.
A porta potty, somebody else's toilet, it's even worse.
Infinitely worse.
Yeah. No, my wife has sending me messages that dinner's ready. I didn't realize how long we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. Abrax says we look good, we sound good. Thank you, because I'm lately the past week I've been experimenting with new things. But anyway, anything you guys want to say? Because dinner's ready upstairs, and I got to go to bed in a half hour.
I'll show you my pins. I have pins now. Oh, that's poor lighting.
Oh.
Can't see it. Oh well.
Oh, for Firewatch.
Yeah.
For
cool.
anybody who doesn't know, Logan Effling over here, he's got a comic that's live on Indiegogo called Firewatch. I backed, and Fabrizio Aiello.
Yeah, it looks fun.
His comic is Horace H. I
Show
always say
that off
Harding.
one more time.
Horace H. Hoover. Thank you. Something wrong with
Thank
my
you.
mouth. And you could get that if you go to the Alterna Comics website. You could order issue number 1, and issue number 2 is about to be released. So I'll put links in the description later on. After this closes down, I can't add any links right now.
Yeah, thank you.
I haven't read Firewatch yet, but I have met Logan, and he's a cool guy, so he gets the benefit of the doubt.
Thanks.
Yeah, it
Even
looks
though
fun.
I've met Fabio, I still like Hoover. So I got to separate the art from the artist. For me.
Exactly.
So and I've talked through 90% of tonight. So guys, go ahead, say whatever you want.
Yeah, thanks everybody in chat. This was fun. I think we've solved the Bigfoot mystery without a doubt. It's unequivocal at this point.
Yeah, so what is the conclusion?
Yep. Well, good night, everybody.
Is Bigfoot real?
Probably.
I don't think so.
I
mean,
want him.
probably not.
I want him to be real.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I want Bigfoot to be real. So, I want the Loch Ness Monster to be real. But now I'm repeating myself. But thanks a lot, everybody. Let me know if you like more of these fun little side quest videos. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Talking to Fabrizio, and I always enjoy talking to Logan. So, I would like to revisit all the people that I've had chats with, except for one, and you know who you are. So, and tomorrow I'm talking with a brand new person whom I've never met before, so I'm excited.
Cool.
I don't,
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm sorry?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. This was supposed to be on Logan's channel, but
You saved the day.
I didn't. He didn't. We both did the same mistake when you try to first do a live video on YouTube. It takes 24 hours for them to process. So,
Yeah, for them to allow you to.
Yeah, before you do it. So next time we'll be on your channel.
There we go.
But thanks for people who've been commenting. I read every comment. Whenever I post this, it takes a couple of hours before the live chat becomes available to reread. And I know I get a kick out of going through the live chats of other people's videos just to see the interesting stuff. Thanks, guys. Got to go. Yeah, I got to go too. I wish I could talk for hours upon hours, but I just don't have that luxury. So, dinner's ready, and I got to go eat and then go to bed. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Back Firewatch. Pick up all the alternate comics.
Free pins if we get funded.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Let's get Logan funded, please. I'll put the link in the description. I'd love to get Firewatch #1. I want to get all 5 issues of Horace H. Hoover, and then it'll be a continuing comic after that.
Yep.
Great. So thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to shut us down, and hopefully we'll all come back. Fabrizio, you said you wanted me to come and talk comics.
Yeah. Just chat about comics in general, and all of you.
Next Tuesday sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Great, yeah, because Wednesdays I do my regular talks, and then next Tuesday,
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Of course, I'll talk about comics to anybody. People in subways, people at the lunch truck. I'll talk comics to everybody. But thanks a lot, everybody. I gotta get going, and thanks you. This was fun. This was a fun idea. Something different.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Evening.
Night.